Welcome to WRERU, the World Religions and Education Research Unit at Bishop Grosseteste University. So welcome to the latest podcast from WRERU, the World Religions and Education Research Unit at Bishop Grosseteste University, Lincoln, in the United Kingdom. I'm Julian Stern, the director of WRERU. And WRERU is a research group exploring religion and education, and there are more than 50 members. Roughly a third of the members are doctoral students at Bishop Grosseteste University, and the rest of the members are either substantive academic staff or honorary and visiting staff at the university. And this is the first of a series of conversations between members of WRERU talking about our research and how we think it may influence the world beyond the university as well. And today I'm delighted to be talking with Professor Mualla Selçuk, but I'll let you, Mualla, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you very much for the invitation and being part of WRERU. That's really an honor and a very important way of collaboration, international collaboration. I'm happy to be here. I am Mualla Selçuk. I'm from Turkey, from Ankara University, and I'm professor of religious education and also intercultural interreligious education. And these both subjects are my main research subjects, and I'm really happy to be with you today.
Thank you. Yes, and I know we've known each other for 10, 15 years maybe through Israel, for another network, the Global Researchers Network in Religious Education, and we've worked on that for many years. But Mualla, this conversation, and I hope future ones too, will concentrate on three topics. One is how you got into research in this area, how and why you started researching this area, what you're working on now, and what you would like to see develop in the future. So would you like to tell me how and why you started doing research related to religion and education? There's a good few of us, but there's not that many around the world. So how did you start?
Well, now maybe I can tell you about two reasons for why I'm doing this, or I did it from many years. Firstly is my personal passion. I care. I think I care very, very much on the meaning of the Word of God. I'm interested of what God says to people, to its people, to the humanity. My passion on understanding the message and also explaining it, because I started as a teacher, as a religious education teacher in schools. And when I started, there comes the second reason is the religious education became as a mandatory, or let's call a regular subject, or an obligatory subject in the system of education in public schools. And at that time, I was a teacher, and then I moved to Faculty of Divinity as a research assistant, and there was a huge debate in the country because Turkey is a secular country, and also Muslim. The majority people are Muslim, more than 90%, but still people discussed about the issue, and they say why the school will take the responsibility of the mosque or the family. And they were very surprised about having this subject in school. Before we had it, but it was upon the parents to decide, to choose. But after, in the beginning of 80s, after the military coup, the military decided to put this subject, maybe because of the ethical reason and for the young, or to explain as the main important aspect of the culture, which is Islam, to the young. There were many reasons behind it, but schools started teaching religion, and under this huge debate, the university started to do research because we need teachers, we need books, we need teaching materials, and the secular people ask always for appropriateness to their children, and they were worried. And the religious people also were worried, because they say that what will be the method, what will be the content in school? Is the officially the school or education system wants to lead us to a different direction, or they want us to be a good citizen in this sense, and so on. You know, all this tension between the secular mind and mindset and the religious mindset. And under this tension, my Professor Bilgin, the person who founded religious education as a scientific subject in universities. She is the founder of this department in Ankara University, and then after this mandatory situation, the universities all had to establish such departments in their own faculties, relevant faculties. And now my professor said to me, you have to study, to work on this tension, and to give a message, religious education as a scientific subject. It's not only religion, it's not only religious, it's not only education, but we are going to integrate both. And the first time when I learned from her that religious education could be considered as a religious subject and also as a pedagogical subject, but it is not only one-sided. We have to integrate both. Therefore, I started working on this integration, and but really a long journey for many years, trying to understand the core message of Islam and trying to understand the appropriate message to integrate with this, the appropriate approach or method or understanding to understand the message, and try to support the young generation and sometimes the old, and it doesn't matter because the message is for all of us. So that was, I started this journey from myself, yes, and also from the history of the subject in our country.
So it has, of course, Turkey is, as you say, secular, and so there was a puzzlement at first. But you've been there right at the center, and Ankara is the capital city as well, so you're close, geographically close to the government and so on. So it must have been a sensitive topic that you have managed to yourself help, along with your professor and other colleagues, helped create it is now a very well-established subject in schools, I understand, in Turkey. So you have done, it is you and your colleagues who have created that subject almost from the start, I think.
Exactly. My professor and her colleagues started at the beginning of 1998. And later, myself, I got this, I call it treasure from my professor, because a lady and a woman and a scholar and working for the best understanding of Islam. She's my role model. Now she is towards her mid-80s, and I still go and learn from her. She's a woman of wisdom. And when she left this relationship with the government and with the country, with the public, and me and my colleagues got this legacy, and I worked with the government for some years to update the curricula. My professor started with the mandatory curricula, and I, with my colleague, continued to update it and to make it more appropriate for the parents and for the students and for the teachers as well. But it's really a very, very, as you said, sensitive and crucial point and always under discussion. And sometimes it's not what you include, it is what you don't include to the subject. So it's so complicated, Julian, but I really like and enjoy this journey myself
So it
as
is
a person.
personal and educational and religious and political, all of these things together. And what because I've known you through international organizations dealing with religions, different religions and non-religions, humanism and other non-religious worldviews. And I've been fascinated, as it were, you are also at the edge of, and you work with other religions and you do inter-religious work internationally as well. So you have, it is not a, you have, I think, had a huge influence within Turkey and on Islamic education, religious education in Turkey, but you are also influential on Christian education and Jewish education and interreligious work internationally. And I know you've worked internationally. Perhaps, and what we're moving on to what you're working on now, which includes some of this intercultural and interreligious work. What's your current project? What are your current projects? Would you like to describe those?
Yeah, you know, you're familiar with the project, and I would like to thank you very much for your very important contribution. Actually, this project is an international project. Yes, 8 universities, European university collaborate on this. It is international and also interreligious, intercultural, and it's called a Sharing Worldviews. And also it includes non-religious worldviews. So we call it religious Sharing Worldviews, learning in encounter for common values in diversity. My participation in this project has its own history because you know, maybe I'm not sure whether I presented in any of international platform or in Israel, a project which took 7 years with Christian colleagues and Muslim colleagues. We together created a dictionary. It's called Dictionary of Dialogue, Dictionary of Encounter. And basic words from Islam have been described by the Muslim, and basic words from Christianity described by the Christian scholars. And this dictionary gives the message that everyone has their own understanding and no one has the right to define the other. So this is a voice from inside. And this dictionary also has a very important influence in school, mainly in Germany and other countries. And now it is in German, in Turkish, in Arabic as well, for the teacher to learn about each other. So this dictionary and the Human Being in Christianity and Islam project, and an Islamic worldview project, a Christian during 5 years came to Turkey, Professor John Falk, you know him from Israel, and he challenged us as a group of Muslim scholars and wanted to learn about Islam as an outsider. And we are insiders tried to respond to him. And we started again to explore and to understand our own religion. So I believe in the value of encounter. That's why I have relationship with different worldviews, with different cultures. I know that when I meet the different, I start to think again about myself, which I can't do it by myself. But it's not only understanding myself. I need to understand the different also in order to live in peace, in harmony, or try to make this world as a better place. We are educated, and this is our mission in life. So this last project has those all behind, and we started working on this. And sharing worldview, learning in encounter for common values in diversity. Now has 3 parts. One, we call it WRERU, that's the short name of the project, WRERU, well study and well digital. Well study means that we prepared 8 universities from our own worldview, religious or non-religious, humanist worldview, material for university, for lectures and for schools. And you provide us with a very, very good and important lecture. And well cred means that we will give a certificate, and that's really exciting to the teachers, and we call it additional qualification. That this certificate will show that this teacher, yes, has their own subject, but also they have an additional quality to teach their students about the value of encounter. And dealing with an encounter in appropriate way, pedagogically and from their own worldview perspective. So we call this project mutual hospitality. This is a mutual hospitality. All happen on a platform. If you visit Sharing Worldview, then you can easily access to all materials, and they are open access. And this is a European funded project, a very big one, and we are coming to the end of February. The 2-part will end, but WellCred, given the certificate, will continue at each university which participated in the project. And the university, they will give courses online, like your courses and other courses, and also they will offer courses on the campus. And at the end, the student will get 10 or 15 credit, and they will get their certificate. So that was really a very exciting journey, and always you learn and encounter. And the dialogue is not about encountering the idea. Dialogue is about encountering people. So when this encounter is really a very rich encounter, and I really appreciate my colleagues. I learned a lot from them and from my students as well, when they enter with great fear and what will happen and anxiety, and then they will start to calm their fear and become open to learning about the other, and trying to say that yes, we start learning that there are different way of looking at life, and all these kind of things are very exciting and enriching, Julian, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Absolutely. So starting with your own encounters as a teacher in the classroom and treating how you deal with the students in the classroom dealing with religion, and then blossoming into this national project, introducing religious education more fully and researching it, and then this international project. And I first met you in Ankara when you were hosting the ISREV, the International Society for Religious Education and Values group in Israel, set up by John Hull, who was also keen on encounter, the idea of encounter between children and adults, and between religions and non-religions and worldviews. So I am grateful to you, Mualla, for encountering. This was my first big international encounter with these scholars from Israel, from you and the other scholars. And it changed my view, as I think you were saying yourself, changed my view of religious education in my own country. It didn't make me disagree with it, but it made me understand it much better, to see how it worked in different countries, in Turkey, in Canada, in the US, in Germany, and so on. So in the future, you've got a future, you've got this project now, you're hoping to embed more again in schools. What would you like to see in the future? What would you like to be doing? Is this the Sharing Worldviews, this encounter work, what you would like to continue? What would you like? What research do you think in religion and education will be the most important in the future? I know in this country and other countries, people will say, religion causes wars and conflicts. And to be honest, if it does, I think that's also a reason to study religion, if that's what it's doing. But also it may help bring people together and bring peace to the world. But what would you like to see in the future for research in religion and education?
Yeah, Julian, it's impressive that you say the religion is seen as a cause, but we as religious education, we think that it could be also a cure for the situation. Some people may see it as a cause, but it could be a cure as well. So moving and going from this path, seeing religious education as a cure, as a potential that help for the situation is very important for me. That's why I founded an initiative last year after the dreadful earthquake in Turkey. 50,000 people lost their life, and many people, hundreds of people injured, and still 11 cities are under all this kind of terrible situation, and people asking, where is God? Why us? And just in a few seconds you wake up and see you have nothing and you lost your relatives. This is really something you can't bear it as a person. And in this situation, again, we need explanation from our faith, and to move forward and to have some hope, and to again adjust our values. I think that we are, let's say, we are being tested with our values every day, not just in this big disaster, but every day we are being tested. So that's why in future, I think that we should continue on the healing power of our faith, and telling our student and the young and ourselves about the big story which we are part of, that why we believe in God, what our faith say in us to live a meaningful life. So that is the point, to seek for meaning, for understanding, to live a meaningful life. I worked a lot for what it means to be human, it means to be Muslim. But now I want to work more about what it means to live in a meaningful society. And there is a really a very, very good example in our history from the 10th century, from Farabi. In Islamic tradition, there are three teachers. One is Aristo. Aristo is universal, but also for Muslim we call it Muallimi Awwal, the first teacher. And we have also Farabi, second teacher. And we have Ibn Miskaweh, a third teacher. This Ibn Miskaweh and Farabi, and mainly Farabi, wrote a book. It says virtue state or perfect state. So I want to work again for today, for 21st century, what it means to live in a perfect state, and how can our faith as Muslim contribute to living meaningfully. So this is my future projection, and I want to work on this. And I started reading the perfect state again. I read it during my education for many years ago, but I started to reading again and raising the question how my faith as Muslims and other, I don't want to use the word other or othering, but the richness in the word offer us how to live together and meaningfully. So I want to explore on the meaning of the perfect state now for the future.
That's a fabulous ambition. I'm most impressed. A sort of a practical utopianism, perhaps, an attempt to make the world better. And as you've been talking about your research, what you haven't done, you haven't separated research from teaching and living and encounter. And I like this in your work, and I try to do it in my work, that research is just another form of learning that contributes to how we live together and how we learn and grow. And this idea that research, some people think research is something done apart from society and from everything else, and you separate yourself to do this for its own sake. But you have been for many years an activist in education, in universities in Turkey and internationally, trying to show how your research and our research can help with Encounter and making a better world. So I wish not just you, but all of us, all the best for creating that world in the future. And it is something encouraging for me that you see research as contributing precisely to that, to making a more ideal, or moving towards an ideal world. So thank you, Mualla, for your pastorate, your present work, and that future ambition is a wonderful one with which we can end. Did you want to say anything else about your research?
Thank you very much for being part of this conversation. And I would like to say that I learned from you a lot, from your way of research. And for you said that being an activist in education, yes, we are all activists in education, and we want to make our give value to our subject by our faith, because potentially each faith has many to offer to every situation of life. The important thing is to go and find this wisdom and make it ready for understanding. That's my passion. Thank you very much.
Well, Selçuk, it's been wonderful talking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you very much.